Hello and welcome back again to another Talon 101. This time we're gonna look at Hwoarang's classic 3-3-3 string. This is the string anyone is really pressed for the most part when you start out with Hwoarang. You mash the 3, you get a little knockdown. The opponent falls on the ground, you can follow it up with a basic back 3. Very, very simple, which is great. And then you figure out that, no, there's more to it. And I can get a free counter hit into RFSD4 if they press any button at +8. Well, most buttons, right, by the way. And then Tekken 8 said, let's give him another option in 3-3-2 because he needs to honor his master. Take one of Beck's moves once again. And, that adds up on the list of moves that he can do from 3-3-3 or 3-3, right? Because there's still 3-3 F4 and then 3-3 forward, like as I've done earlier. So this very simple string is not only basic, but is also very handy in left foot forward and in left flamingo stance. So quick tidbit about this move, just like RFF2, right? You can do this jab string, blah, 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 from either way. You can do all these options from left foot forward and left flamingo stance. Again, minus the one kick, right? So it comes 3-3-3 and then LFS3 because it comes from the second kick. If you notice the animation here, it's gonna back up a little bit. You see the second kick, right? So just compare it. Slow down the video if you have to. You notice that, right? It's the same kick for the most part. That's the second. The mid kick is basically the same kick. So it's just like you have the starting kick at a high 14 frames, or you start from the mid kick, which is also 14 frames. So really not much of a difference in order to get access to the last hit, whether that be a mid that knocks down, a mid that keeps the opponent in place, or a high that makes the opponent's life pretty hell. All right, let's start with the base, the starting move where this all can be possible. Standing 3, +4 on hit, 14 frames, and -7 on block, go back to left foot forward. There is absolutely nothing special about this move. I mean, look at this +4. What the hell are you doing with it? Yeah, I'll tell you what you're doing with it. You're watching the opponent backdash your mid. And if you have heat, then congratulations. You can do something with it for the most part. But for the most part, no, you're not using the standing 3 by itself. So if you're not using the standing 3 by itself, minus an error, you're generally using the second hit. That's where 3-3 comes into play. Now, this is second hit here, slightly slower. It's 18 frames, but it's still, again, the same kick in left flamingo stance, where that's LFS3 at 14. This is 18. But again, since it's connected to the first kick, you don't really have to worry about it getting interrupted. So that's -7 on hit and a punishable -13 that goes back into left foot forward. Now, you look at that -13. Is that something someone can punish? Let's ask the question. Can Hwoarang punish his own move? I'm going to do 3-3. Indeed, Hwoarang can punish me. But here's the catch. Because there are multiple strings that follow up after this, he cannot punish me. So now that -13 is effectively null and void, right? So if the -13 is effectively null and void, what is the opponent typically going to do here? Well, they're going to check you. That's what's going to happen. And so what the standing 3 and 3-3 have in common, this is why I lumped them together, is that if you throw out the move, you get where I'm going with this, right? You can whiff punish them. So that's off standing 3. This is after standing 3-3. Yeah, so you basically go back to neutral and said, hey, I wasn't actually going into or doing any of. I wasn't going to enter flamingo. I wasn't going to do any of the options. I was just going to check you. I wanted to see what your reaction was. What is your initial reaction? So if you want to test the waters against your opponent, a regular standing 3 into a backdash, a sidestep, or a punish, it's generally a backdash because, again, you're -7 or -13. There ain't really much you're doing. And if it's a short move, obviously if it's a longer move, you can't move, right? So let's just change this into DF3 +4. I can't move. But of course, if they throw out a punishable move, then that's great for you because now you created that space, they try to catch you, and you, of course, you can punish them. Of course, if it was a move that could catch standing 3-3, then yeah, you're tough luck. So that's what standing 3 and standing 3-3 can do for you. Test the waters against the opponent, depending on what kind of reactions they have, or the next things you're about to do. So if they're holding over there, the first thing you're allowed to do is enter Flamingo, right? You can just do 3-3 forward. Now, what happens if you do 3-3 forward? This is +8 on hit. Of course, the second hit is +8. Again, it's not a natural combo, and it is +2 on block. Now, +2, again, it's the mental frames because third hit exists, or multiple third hit exists, or second hit exists, depending again if you do it from LFF or LFS. And of course, you get to get access into left flamingo stance. So you want to use that mental frame advantage that you have in order to transfer into right foot forward, right? So you do 3-3 forward, and then you get the hit on LFS down 4, or you get the block on LFS 1, you go back to left foot forward, or you can even transition right into right flamingo stance. So 3-3 forward, LFS 4, voila, you've transitioned to RFS. So you can go anywhere into the next 3 stances immediately. So that's generally what's really, really good about this, because again, the opponent is thinking about all the other options that exist here. There is one interesting thing about this move. It's that if you get the second hit on counter hit, right? It's +13. That is a guaranteed LFS 1. Is this confirmable? I'll tell you, I just generally mash LFS 1 for the most part. If I want to do 3-3 forward, I'm generally mashing LFS 1 because again, generally your safest option the moment you do this on block at +2, even if you would lose to an opponent's jab, right? So yeah, not exactly a confirmable move, not unless you saw the, right, there's a, you can see a line in between the hit effect. Yeah, if you can visually confirm that. I can't visually confirm that, so I kind of just mash it. That's generally how LFS 3 forward works as well. In the same boat as 3-3 forward, again, just minus the first kick. But let's move on to the first and classic kick string. So 3-3-3 is -14 on block, you go back to left foot forward. And of course, if the last hit connects, that is a knockdown. Let's do some damage or do some math. These moves will counter hit fully. Not from the first hit, but from the second hit. And that's generally the damage you're getting, 49 damage. But you can follow up with other options, because F3 slide 3 is purely a damage thing. There's no Okizeme here. You only get Okizeme if like the opponent's back against the wall. So if you wanted, if you wanted Okizeme, right? Okay, 3-3, FF4. Now, as you can see, if you mess it up, goodbye. It's such a waste. So you need to make sure you practice the execution there. But if you have it, easy. Beautiful Okizeme. Most especially in Tekken 8 over Tekken 7. And then what if you didn't want to do right foot forward Okizeme? Okay, so 3-3, dash up, back 3. You can crouch dash, you can stand switch, go into left flamingo stance, right flamingo stance. The world is your oyster. So that's generally what you can do. You can get damage, you can get RFF Okizeme and regular Okizeme. As you could see from the video, as we're going along, there's been a long delay in how I'm doing this. That's right. Whether that be LFS 3 from LFS 3, you can delay the second hit for as long as you like. Well, not as long as you like, but this does feel as long as you like. Which means you can either A, catch the opponent off guard with LFS 3-3, or you can confirm the hit. Most especially if you see that line in between the hit effect, and then you can confirm for the counter hit. So again, it's from the second hit onwards. And then voila. And that goes all the way to even 3-3-4. So since we moved from 3-3-3, let's talk about 3-3-4. This is a 19 frame hit. Oh my goodness. Instant mix-up galore. Obviously, right? 1-2-4 plus 12 on hit. Same thing here. It's just that it's even higher, right? It's even higher at plus 19, which means your opponent can't really do anything for the most part. If they get hit by this, it's like getting hit by F4, because it's kind of more or less the same animation, just connected to kick strings or a kick sequence. And you're never really put in a bad spot. It's plus 8 to plus 19. Again, it's F4. It's the same move. So it's pretty good. And it's plus 19 on counter hit. Now, is this plus 19 counter hit plus 19? Let's find out. You hold that down. 3-3-4. Yeah. Now, of course, we did say this is F4, right? Does F4 do the same thing? No. No, it does not. So that makes 3-3-4 all the more special, or LFS 3-4. And a bigger reason why you'd want to delay the hit. Because if you delay the hit, LFS 3-4, Oops. That's kind of like what you're trying to fish for. So you're not after the fact that, oh yeah, on the second hit, it's a counter hit. So, because 3-3 from 3-3, 3-3-4. That's not going to be a launcher, nor is it going to be a guaranteed into RFS F4. But you're still in a pretty damn good spot, right? Regardless if it hits. Because now you can basically mid-check them with Flying Eagle. And RFS down forward 4, RFS down 3, the list goes on. But the fact that there's that reward, right? So now you start fishing. You keep fishing because you're like, yeah, if I can get that last counter hit, I'm set. Because now that's damage, that's wall travel, everything. It's just that the only con is that it's connected to this long ass string that are you gonna integrate into your game or not? That's a question you have to ask yourself for left foot forward. Obviously, this is not a question in left flamingo stance. You will fish for it. And like anytime you're here, pressuring like this, like hey, you're begging your opponent, press a button, please. So you can see Hwoarang's kind of slow down a sequence, right? So let's say down 3-4, stand switch, delay, delay, go back again, delay, pressure, delay. Like it doesn't end. It's too good to ignore. So generally you're doing a lot of 3-3-4, and then that 3-3-4 gets stabilized by the fact that there's a 3-3-3, and then there's still 3-3 into Flamingo, or LFS 3 forward into Flamingo and LFS 3-3. Not to mention that there's still 3-3-F4 or LFS 3-F4. So this move still comes out from the 14 frame string, whether that be high or mid. It does knock down on hit, and it's -1 on block. -1 why? Because the opponent, as you can see there, goes a little bit off axis. It's the same thing when they block backlash, because this is a 3-hit string, or 2-hit string into backlash minus the power crush properties. Imagine if it had the power crush properties, Tekken 9. So what's good about this move is that obviously -1 off axis opponent. So if they attempt to press a button, and since they're off axis, it makes it easy to whiff punish them, and it would make some of their moves misalign. Number 2 is that the second hit of this move catches sidestep right. See that? So it really protects Hwoarang when the opponent is attempting to move. Again, against sidestep right, not against sidestep left. Not as much. You don't want to trust it as much versus left, most especially as you go up against characters with stronger sidesteps. At sidestep right, you can easily commit to this move. This move does not jail. I have to preface that first, right? That doesn't jail. Neither does 3-4, that doesn't jail. And Tekken 8 decided to say having 4 options wasn't enough. And said have another hit, whether that be from 3-3-2 or LFS 3-2. This is basically Beck's chop. Beck could do down 2. It was a pretty damn good move. But in Hwoarang fashion, he always has to have the worst version of it. So he said, let me do it after my jab kick string, right? Kick sequence. And not be even as good as his masters. Because his masters, that was a knockdown, I believe, if my memory serves me right. And it was safe on block. Hwoarang's is +1 force crouch. And then it's -11 on block. But okay, right, -11 makes it the safer option instead of doing 3-3 or 3-3-3, right? But then that's -14 to like 47 plus damage. And then there's still Okizeme options on top of it. Here, I get this hit. +1 force crouch. It's like, is there anything on counter hit? We go on counter hit. Well, I mean, obviously, you can confirm it the moment the second kick. That's not new for any of these things. Nah, it's still +1. So what makes this guy special is that regardless of where the opponent wants to walk, Hwoarang will say, I got you. So that's sidewalk right. This is sidewalk left. As you like, wow, that's a lot of options from a classic kick. This is a beginner kick for the most part. It's not so beginner. No, it is not so beginner. There's a lot of things on top of this that you can do with it. And then the reward. Oh, the reward. Of course, when we're speaking about reward, we're really talking about LFS 3-4 or 3-3-4. Again, the last hit, because that turns into a launcher. So it's still F4, but not F4 because it gets the launcher. It doesn't just get RFS F4-4. It doesn't just get RFS P3. It gets way more. So you're really working around that and connecting it to your pressure sequences, whether you want to include actually 3-3, right? But you're going to include LFS 3 forward and LFS 3-4, and then sprinkle in some 3-3-3, LFS 3-3. If you don't want to do that because it's too risky at -14, don't worry. There's always the -11. That's basically pseudo homing. It's something Hwoarang players should introduce into their gameplay. Also, especially with the fact that since the opponent's going to be thinking about all those defensive options, you can really hit them with this. 60% chance they'll press a button here. Voila. Punish. And if you really just need to get space, right? Like, so let's say your back was against the wall. I'll give you space. Now, this is like Frontier. Objectively, that's not a lot of space. And to that, I will slightly agree with you. Now, the reason why I say you gain space is because, again, we reset this. They were thinking about how many stuff again? And then now you have space to do one backdash. You have space to sidestep more freely. And by the point they recognized that you weren't gonna do any of the 3 follow-ups, you weren't going to enter Flamingo, what naturally happens? You did a sidestep already. Or you attacked them. Up, 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 space. Let's do up, up, space. Up, up, offense. Up, up. Simple check. Feel free to experiment with the 3-3-3 string and all its other family members, because boy, do they pack a punch whether they're done in left foot forward or left flamingo stance. And I've been Frontier. That's everything I know about it. Thank you for watching.